No one wants to put council tax up, and it's been something we've had to think really long and hard about. But if we don't, that means the Bradford Council taxpayers are going to have to pay £111 million extra in costs of borrowing over the next 20 years. So for £2 or £3 extra a week now, that means that we can save that £111 million in the long term. So we know this is hard for people. You know, people have had a cost of living crisis and it's still hard out there. So what we're doing is making sure there's a hardship payments there for people on the lowest incomes to make sure that people can get through this really difficult time. We're in this position because actually government austerity over the last 14 years has left places like Bradford in a really challenging situation. About £350 million taken off Bradford over that time, and that has really made that we've had to cut services back much more than we'd like, and it means that our income levels, we've got one of the lowest council taxes in the country, has just not been able to increase in line with that reduction of government grant. So that's the situation we're in today, and although this is not the news that we wanted to provide, or I know government wanted to provide, it is the right thing to do to make sure that the council has a financially sustainable future. So we need to do some myth busting here around City of Culture. The City of Culture Trust is a separate organisation to the council. The vast majority of its funding comes from external sources, whether that's government, Arts Council and other heritage organisations who want Bradford to have a great year as City of Culture. City of Culture was something that was supported by cross parties in 2021. We all support it, regardless of political party, and we all want it to be a success. The council's budget is separate to that, and what we've published shows clearly, line by line, what we'll be spending next year. Only 2% of that money goes on culture and sport as well. 65% of that money goes on adult social care and children's social care. And that is where the real strains are in council finances, not just for Bradford, but for the whole country. And after 14 years of cuts by the last government, that has left all councils really straining to deliver the really vital services that are done through adults and children's social care. Now, culture-led regeneration is what we're doing here. And we need to do that, we have to do that, because we want to make sure that in the future we generate good income levels for our residents so that they can put food on the table, look after their children, and we can be a more prosperous district in the future. But that only happens by making sure that the City of Culture is a success and all the regeneration around the district is a success, because that's what we're all aiming for, to make sure we grow the economy, we attract investment and get people good jobs. People often ask me, why is council tax going up and services being cut? And the reason for that is that 14 years ago, Bradford Council and other councils used to get a big grant to support the delivery of council services. But gradually, year after year, for the last 14 years, that government grant has been cut back. And instead, the government asked us to rely more heavily on council tax increases. Now for Bradford, which has low council tax, we can never make up the gap that was lost by that government grant with our council tax alone. So that has made it challenging, particularly for areas like Bradford, to continue delivering the same level of services with a lot less money than we used to have. Now, council tax gets spent on many different things. Over 150 services are delivered by council tax. Obviously, a big part of that is adult and children's social care. So 65% of our spending goes on those two areas. And that's for children who are vulnerable, who need taken into care, for adults with learning disabilities who need support to stay living actively in their own home and take an active part in the district. And then there's also those everyday services that everybody recognises, like bin collections, like litter picking, like fly tipping collections. All that is really important to keep the district moving, on top of things like parks, our bereavements, cemeteries, and making sure that our theatres, our museums, that all those things are working for the good of all the district. And we've got a long list of things that are delivered through that. And it's really important that your council tax is spent on things that you value and that we keep delivering those services so that you can enjoy those for yourselves, your friends, your family and your neighbours. Now, people have seen the massive amount of regeneration that's going on across the district at the moment. And in the city centre, people have been asking about the Transforming City scheme, the pedestrianisation that's been going on. And it's important that people know that that money has come from central government, via the West Yorkshire Mayor at the Combined Authority, to make sure that we have a transformative scheme that really makes the district proud of our city centre, brings in investment and creates jobs. Or if you look at things like Bradford Live, for example, 0.4% of our budget next year is Bradford Live. 65% of our budget next year is adult social care and children's social care. Now, we can't have regeneration without getting that external funding in. There's no point in us saying no to that external funding. We need to welcome external funding to make sure we create a great place for investors, businesses to come and create businesses here. Got PwC locating here and increase the number of jobs they employ. Brit School will be coming here with a new building and new school for performing artists. All that happens because we as Bradfordians have brought in that investment from government, from external partners to make sure we have a great place to invest.